All right, everyone. Welcome to Build with the CEO. I am your resident CEO, Trevor. And this month is all about slump survival. So, we're talking about really two different periods when you're running a program or running a challenge where you're going to see client drop off. Many of us use challenges as a way to sell into our coaching programs. And so, we want 100% completion rate. We want everyone to get to the finish line. This whole month, we're going to be talking about how to get more people to the finish line. And there's two big slumps. Last week, if you didn't catch the episode, definitely go back and watch it. But we call it ghost number one. And this is the client who quits before your program even starts. It's the repeat dieter. And we talked about terms like anticipatory restriction, where they show up on day one depleted and they never really even make it through the program. So we went deep into that last week. This week, though, we are going to tackle what we call ghost number two. And this is your typical ghost. So this is the week 3 dropout. If we're running a challenge, we have a ton of experience at running challenges at my facility. We've run challenges for over a decade. And these patterns were pretty consistent across all of our challenges. We typically run a 6-week challenge. We found that 6 weeks is kind of that optimal time frame where someone could stay engaged the whole time, but it wasn't too long where we saw a big drop off. But there was a period, or there is a period in a 6-week challenge where you're going to see a huge dip in motivation. And if we don't do something about that as coaches, and if we don't prepare clients for that period, you're going to have some drop off, you're going to lose some people. And so today's episode is talking about this, the week 3 dropout, and we're calling it ghost number 2. And this is a biological motivation crash that really hits everyone, not just our repeat dieters. And more importantly, what we're going to do today is we're going to get into the actual software of Coach Catalyst, and I'm going to show you how we can predict this, right? Looking at the data. So you can see this starting to happen without having to ask every client how they're doing. We can see this, we can see the data, and then we can reach out, we can be proactive. And this is ultimately why we created Coach Catalyst. Coach Catalyst wasn't originally built as like a workout builder or as an online platform. Coach Catalyst was originally built to coach at scale. And coaching really has a few different things. There's an education component to it. Right? So we build out the curriculum for this particular challenge. There is a communication. We want to centralize that so we don't have it in a bunch of different places, or worse, using our personal cell phone numbers. And then 3, there's accountability. We need to know, is the client doing what we need them to do? Because getting clients results is ultimately pretty simple, right? It's getting them to actually follow the program for a long enough period of time and with a high enough consistency that they actually get the result, right? This isn't rocket science. It's just getting people that take the daily actions it requires in order to get the result. So we're going to get into Coach Catalyst, and I'm going to show you a few of the features that you can utilize to help you identify clients that are starting to potentially ghost or starting to fall off, and then you can intervene as a coach, because that is your superpower as a coach. So that's what we're going to get into today. That's what we're all about today. And yeah, we're going to show you around. And also I have a really cool guide for you today. Emma finished up the slump survival guides. We gave away part 1 last week. That was for our ghost number 1. We gave away a program inside of Coach Catalyst for our repeat dieters. You can go grab that in the marketplace. Just download that. It's 5 lessons that you can use before you start a program for our repeat dieters, just to get ahead of some of this anticipatory restriction things, and clients kind of really showing up to a program already depleted. Okay. So I want to paint the picture for you and kind of talk about the problem. I'm going to agitate the problem here a little bit, and maybe you'll resonate a little bit with this on how a lot of coaching programs work. So let's talk about what actually happens in most coaching businesses when someone starts to struggle. You send out your Monday check-in form. Maybe Tuesday morning, you're looking through the responses. Sarah checks in. Great. Awesome. Mike checks in. Awesome. Jessica, did Jessica check in? Let me scroll, find it. Nope, don't see her. Okay, mental note. I used to do a lot of these mental notes. Follow up with Jessica later. Cool. Then our day gets away from us, right? We get pulled into a call. You answer some emails, you maybe record, create some content. You've got 3 other client messages that you're dealing with questions. It's now Thursday. Did you ever follow up with Jessica? Maybe, maybe not. Life happened. Friday rolls around. Jessica still hasn't checked in, but you're not sure if you should reach out again or if that's annoying. Maybe she's just busy. Maybe she's fine. The following Monday, Jessica ghosts your next check in too. Now you're pretty sure there's a problem, but it's been a week and a half. The moment to intervene really is past at this point, right? So here's what I want you to understand. Jessica didn't ghost you because she's uncommitted. She ghosted because she was struggling, and as a coach, we didn't catch it in time. And if you don't catch it because you were sorry, let me rephrase it. We didn't catch it because we were relying on our memory and attention to notice patterns. And you can do this with 2 or 3 clients, but you can't do this when you start to scale at any realm, and not scale like by hundreds, but scale by 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 clients. If we're coaching that many people, we can't keep that many mental notes. So it's not necessarily a you problem. It's not that you don't care about your clients. It's a systems problem. So we need to have a better system where we can identify the people that are falling off, have a to-do checklist so that we can follow up with the people that we know need to be followed up with. So all about today, I'm going to show you exactly how to spot your Jessicas. And I apologize if your name is Jessica. That is just a name we're using for this. There's nothing against Jessicas. And I want to show you how you can do it in under 60 seconds. This shouldn't take a long time to find the information about your clients. And the most important information about your clients is, are they executing on the program or not? Not even if they're doing it the way that you want it done, just are they executing? It's a done or it's a not done type of thing. And this is the entire principle we built Coach Catalyst around, is showing you the done and not done really, really, really easily. Okay. So we're going to bump in. I'm going to show you some features. I'm going to share my screen, and then I'll kind of show you what this looks like. I've set up some test clients. Hopefully you like the names, but we're just going to go through a program that I've put in there, and we'll walk you through the different aspects of it. Right? With any program, especially like a 6-week program, we have week 1 where we are going through like our honeymoon phase. Dopamine is high. Everything's new, everything's exciting. The client's posting in the community, checking in early, feeling great, right? Week 2, we kind of keep that momentum. Momentum is still there. They're starting to get some results. Maybe the scale's moving a little bit. Maybe their pants are feeling better. Dopamine's really elevated. And then week 3 hits and that dopamine starts to wear off, right? And now it is just hard work. It is just work. Meal prep isn't fun anymore. Starting to get tedious. Workouts maybe aren't providing the same amount of energy. Maybe we're not sleeping well. Dog threw up on the carpet, right? Life is starting to happen. And this challenge or this program is becoming hard, right? And this is where I need to dig in. This isn't necessarily a motivation thing. This is a biology thing. This is just what happens to us as humans as we're going through something new. It doesn't mean that your clients are lazy or uncommitted, but their brain just stops rewarding them, right? For doing the thing, right? They stop getting those dopamine hits for the new thing that they were doing. And then we start to see they start to skip check-ins. They maybe don't tick off their actions. They maybe stop posting in the community and they start to go quiet. It's at this point where we need to catch the client and start having the conversation about what is going on and helping them understand what they're feeling right now, that it's normal, and help them overcome that. Because if we can do that, and it usually takes one conversation, but if we can do that, we're going to get them to the finish line, and the likelihood of us moving them into our coaching programs is really, really, really high. So let's get in. I'm going to bring up on another screen here the platform so I can walk you through some of this stuff. And then if you have questions, just drop them in the chat. I'm going to try and go back and forth here inside of Facebook and YouTube to see if there's anything in there. If you're watching the replay, definitely drop a question in the chat. Just make sure you tag us so that we can we see it and we'll be able to follow up with you. So all right, let's share some screens here, and I'm going to probably switch my view around, so give me a second. All right, there we go. So you should be able to see my screen now. I just want to check it one more time. There we go. So you can see my screen, and I've got my clients up here on the screen, and there's a few things that we're going to talk about today. And the first thing I want to talk about is this thing called the notification center. Now, when I click on the notification center, you're going to see a list of lots of things that are happening inside of the platform. Think about this as your little bit of to do. It tells you two things. It tells you everything clients have completed inside of the platform, and it tells you everything the clients have not completed inside of the platform. And we can filter by all of that stuff up here at the top. Now, there may be certain things that are more important to you. For me personally, something that is really important is forms, because I'm going to have my clients do weekly check-in forms. And if I have 20 clients, I don't want to have to look through every client to see who's filled out their form and who hasn't filled out their form. That's the power of the notification center. So I can just save that filter and I can see all the clients that have filled out the form. Perfect. This now gives me the cue as a coach. Remember, not relying on our brain, we're relying on systems as a coach to check in with this client. So I'm going to click on that form. It's going to open it up for me, and I'm going to be able to see what that client wrote inside of their form. Okay. Really simple through here. I can see all of their check-ins or all of their answers to their check-ins right through there. And then I can see previous forms that they filled out as well. This is really helpful if I'm, maybe week 4 in a program and I want to look at the form from week 2 and week 3 and see if there are any changes. I just click through and it gives me some really good information. Then I can come back to this client and I can click the little message button and I can send this client a message, right? I just learned a lot about their form. Now I can send that client a message. Right? Maybe I want to do an audio message, so I can just click the audio button and talk to them. Here's what I'm seeing from them as a client. Sometimes you like to see it at the same time, so I'm actually going to just show you on my screen here because I'm sharing my whole thing. You can even go side by side here, right? So we can see them side by side. We'll just come up here, my little Chrome browser, right? And now I can talk to that client and I can be looking at their form at the same time. So I can see them side by side, which is really, really helpful. Okay. Then I've responded to that client. Now I want to use this as a little bit of a checklist, a little bit of a to-do. So I've responded to them. So I'm just going to mark this as archived. That tells me that, hey, this is done. I don't need to respond to them. Okay. So I would do all my notifications there. Maybe you follow up with workouts. So maybe we want to add workouts in here as well. Okay. Next is going to be follow-up. So follow-up is anyone that was assigned a form but did not complete it. Okay, they assigned a form but did not complete it. So this is the same thing through here. Is I can see how well clients, I can see which clients did not fill out their form, and then I can have that conversation with that client. I can come in here, click into that client, right? And then see, maybe move that form to today to make it a little bit easier for them, or just have the conversation. Hey, I saw you missed your form yesterday. What's going on? Right? Or how can I help? So it just makes it really easy. And then once we followed up, we can choose. Maybe I want to archive that, or maybe I want to leave it here until I get a good response from that client, and then I can archive it there. So this is the first place where we could check to see who is missing the key components that we need to follow up with, and that's right in the follow-up piece underneath the notification center. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, when you are running any sort of challenge, any sort of program, you may have other clients that are doing other things inside of your platform as well. Maybe you have a different program you're running. Maybe you do one-to-one stuff. All of that can be inside of the same platform. So we don't want all those clients in one long list like this. So over here on the left-hand side, right under needs workout, you're going to see all of these, what we call custom filters or custom segments. These are segments of clients inside of my entire client base. And these are really cool. So if I click on custom filter up here at the top, you'll see all the different variables I have at my disposal. Maybe I want to look at the number of workouts, or I always want to quickly filter by the number of workouts. Who has less than 4 workouts over a certain time frame. So you could put all of that in there. Who is on a certain program, right? Who has a certain tag, and then who has a certain compliance to that program. These are all filters, and I'm just going to show you some of the ones that I've created for this particular one, just so you can see it on how it works. The first one is this U 2.0 program. So that's the program I put these clients on. You're going to see the custom filter up here at the top is U 2.0. So when I click on that, it only shows me the 3 clients that are on that program. Okay. Now, maybe I want to just look at the rock stars on that program. So those clients that are kicking butt, that are 70% or higher compliant. So I'm going to click on that. And now you see it's going to sort again. And I'll show you this sorting. Their compliance is above 70% and they're on this program. Okay. Really easy to see, okay, how they're doing. Sweet. The next one is going to be at risk. So at risk is a filter that we've created inside of Coach Catalyst based upon the number of days in a row that a client has not checked in or they've checked no to everything. Okay. So they've not checked in or they've checked no to everything. This is really powerful to find the people that are starting to drop off. It's defaulted for 3 days, but you can make it shorter if you want to make it 2. If you want to make it longer, like 4 or 5, you can do that in the settings. I have it set for 3 days. So you're going to see when I click on this at risk, now you're going to see just the 2 clients, Jiminy Cricket and Luke Skywalker, both have been struggling recently. So that brings me to the next piece is the last 7 days in the client's cycle. This is the next place we want to go to as a coach just to see what might be going on with these clients. Who is starting to trend in the wrong direction? Who is becoming potentially a little bit disengaged, right? They were checking in really well and now they're falling off. Or maybe who hasn't engaged for the last couple days. So you're going to see some colors here: greens, yellows, reds, whites. They all serve a different purpose. Green means perfect, executed everything on that day. Yellow means I did some. Red means I did nothing, but I did engage and mark it as not done. Question mark means there were things to do, but I didn't do them. Okay. So it tells us exactly who's starting to fall off. Both of these clients are at risk. I would consider them both to be at risk. Jiminy Cricket, even though he's been doing well, hasn't checked in for the last 3 days. I should probably follow up with that client. And I can just click the little message icon and I can start having that conversation with Jiminy. Okay. Because I see he hasn't checked in the last 3 days. Luke Skywalker, on the other hand, he was getting some yellows, but you'll see they went from he had 3 yeses to 2 yeses to 1 yes to 0 to a no check in to a no check in. This client is in a free fall. And as a coach, we need to reach out and we need to help basically give them a life vest. We need to get them back on track because they've been struggling. They were indicating that they were struggling, and now they're starting to ghost. They're starting to disengage and not even follow up whatsoever right through there. Okay, I probably then want to click on Luke and I want to look at his history of this particular program. You'll see for this particular program, we've got lessons, but then we also have eat a compliant lunch, dinner, breakfast, and snacks. Those are kind of the core 4 things that we're working through in this particular program. But I can see here, hey, he started out strong, was doing all this stuff, and then he struggled with snacks, and he continued to struggle with snacks. All right, looks like he started with dinner. Okay, he didn't do his weekly check-in form, right? And then he checked no to everything, didn't check in at all yesterday and hasn't checked in today. Okay. This is the perfect opportunity to have a coaching conversation with this client and help them figure out success for them, right? Help them get back on track, right? They're in a free fall and you're going to lose this client if we don't reach out and do the hard work of coaching. But it gives you the data, right? And so I'll show you how that looks versus someone else. So let's look at Batman here. So Bruce Wayne has been doing really well. So if I click into Bruce's account, right, you're going to see lots of greens. It's got a couple things here: avoid eating snacks, right? Probably not anything to worry about, but those are some potential talking points if I need to. And then I can always check out his form to see what he wrote for each of his questions and can see what his feedback is as well on how he's doing with these types of things. And one thing with forms, I think forms are another really, really good way to figure out if someone is starting to drop off. So there's a couple things with forms, right? So I'm going to just show you this particular form. I like a lot of 1 to 10s biofeedback stuff, and I'll show you why here in a second. But forms, I don't like more than, say, 10 questions. And probably half of those are 1 to 10, really easy answer ones. I don't like more than 3 to 4 open-ended questions where the client's actually going to have to write something out. Again, we want to make this easy, should be filled out in less than 5 minutes. If they feel like it's going to take forever to do this thing, right, it's going to become an issue. The other thing is if we're not giving them feedback on what they're writing to us in their check-ins, they're going to start to deem those as unimportant. Hey, my coach isn't even giving me any feedback on that. All right, this isn't worth it, right? It's not worth the time and effort that goes into it. So we do want to be giving them feedback on it. Okay, so we have our 1 to 10 type questions, and then we have these other ones. Now, we want to look at form over form over form over form. Okay, so the form in potentially end of week 1, the form in week 2, and then the form in week 3. If the form in week 3, if the responses have changed, they've gotten a little bit more short. There's one-word answers, where in weeks 1 and week 2, they were filling out full sentences or they were giving you novels on things, right? That's a good indicator that things are starting to trend in the wrong direction. And that's another good indicator that someone is starting to fall off, right? Their answers just start becoming short. So an easy way to engage with that is to take those answers, even if they are short, ask some reflective questions on them and get the client to elaborate a little bit more. Engage with that client, create dialogue, and get them engaging. Because if we keep them engaging, we can help them through this week 3, week 4 slump that happens in pretty much every 6-week program. Okay. So there's a few things here that I want to just highlight that I think are really important when you are creating forms to give you better data. So you're going to see down here at the bottom, I have these biofeedback questions. This is just a section header. I wrote quick biofeedback, but I have them rate 4 different things: their energy, their motivation, their sleep, and their stress. Okay. This is another set of data that you can use to help the client get through weeks 3 and 4. So there's a couple here I want to highlight. One is motivation. Okay. What's their motivation at? If we consistently see that dropping, right? Pretty obvious, right? I need to intervene and help that client figure out what they need to figure out in order to keep pushing forward, right? Continue to do the hard work. What's their energy like? And how do these rate together, right? Are they sleeping like crap, which is then impacting their energy? Or maybe their stress is really high, which is impacting their energy and motivation. Like they all kind of relate to each other. So those are all things that we can start being reflective on to help the client understand what's going on. But the key with this stuff, I'm going to actually show you this form. So I'm going to copy it here just so that you guys can see it. Actually, no, we don't need to copy it. We'll just look at it next week. So you're going to see with this particular form that questions, and we'll give the energy one, for example. When I click on this one, you're going to see that this is connected to a metric. Okay, so it's connected to my energy metric right through there. So that means that the data point they give me in that particular question will then go into my metrics. And why is that important? Because you may have the client filling out forms every week, giving you biofeedback every week, and you don't want to have to look at form by form by form to see all those data points, right? I can come into the client's metrics, I can come into energy, and I can see all of the data points that they've given me based upon the form that they filled out. So it makes it really easy to collect that data from the client, and then it allows us to interpret that data in a visual that makes more sense. Right, rather than having to go form by form, I can see that data on a graph. I can see all the data points below. Okay, so it makes it really, really simple to see all of this stuff. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully, like I'm starting to give you some insight into how to make this effective, because this is a systems thing. This isn't you as a coach. This isn't your motivation. But if we need to stop relying on your brain to remember this stuff and use the system to tell me who I need to start following up with, right? So step 1 is notification center. Use that as your little to-do list. Okay, who isn't doing the things they need to do? Who is doing the things they need to do, right? And we can then follow up accordingly, right? And then from there, we want to create these custom filters based upon the things that are important for our coaching, right? Maybe there's a certain tag, maybe there's a certain program, maybe there's a certain compliance, right? Maybe there's a number of workouts that we want them completing, right? We need to have all these pieces in place so that we can get this data really, really quickly. I don't want to have to dig for this data. Okay. I want to see this big visual of it all right here. So I want to have that program sort by those clients. As part of that program, I want to see which clients are at risk. Right. And the cool thing about these two is I can just bulk message. Maybe I'm short on time. I don't have a lot of time today. I'm not going to be able to follow up with each client individually, but they're all kind of in the same boat. So I would send a similar message to all of them. I want to recognize where they're at. So I would come in here and I would send a bulk message. Okay. And that's going to allow me to send the same message to all of these people. I can personalize it with their first name if I want it to feel a little bit more personal, but that's a way for me to be really efficient as a coach. And this works really, really well if you have clients that are rocking it, like your rock stars. You can just select them all. Hey, I was just reviewing your program today and it looks like you're absolutely killing it. Do you have any questions for me? or keep up the great work, whatever you want, right? But I don't need to send that same thing to 15 different people. I can send this, sorry, I don't need to send an individual message to 15 different people. I can send the same thing to all of them with just a few clicks with the bulk message. So definitely play with that. This custom filters is something that came out recently. And so you may not even notice that it's there. And then those will all show up here on the left-hand side. And then you can rename them here, delete them once the program is done or anything that you need right there. So definitely check those things out. So we've got notifications, we've got this, we've got our filters, our custom filters, we've got our bulk messaging, right? We've got our single messaging by just clicking there. And so these are all ways that we can see if a client is starting to fall off and then intervene in that week 3, in that week 4, and then get them to the finish line. Because if we get them to the finish line, the likelihood of them joining our next program much higher, right? If we don't get into the finish line, the likelihood is essentially 0. And then we're using this last 7 days as a way to just quickly scan our people and figure out who may need our attention today. Okay. So coaching should be efficient, and it can be efficient if we do have the right systems in place. It takes a little bit of effort to get it set up right at the beginning, but once we have it set up, we're good to go. So I want to show you one other thing on this page. So this is the guide that Emma created, and the link to this guide will be in the description, so you can just go in there and grab it. And you're going to see in this guide, we have these 2 types of clients. We have ghost number 1, which is a client that falls off before the program even starts because they're a repeat dieter. They restrict in anticipation of the program, and so they land on day 1 depleted. And then we have our ghost number 2 who disappears in week 3 or week 4 because the dopamine, the newness has worn off, and they're not getting the same rewards in their brain that they were getting at the beginning. And so they just lose that motivation, and they think it's them, and they just stop communicating. But if we catch that client before they fall too far off, we can get them back on track, right? And we want to get them to keep showing up, because if we get them to keep showing up, they're going to show up for the next one. So in this guide, we walk you through everything. Right, basically everything I've talked about over the last couple of weeks, we've now put it into this guide to help you as a coach just understand what's going on with your clients, and then also give you some strategies. You're going to see some coaching strategies here on how to help these clients at these periods. Okay, because we don't want to stick our head in the sand and pretend like these things don't exist. This is human nature, but we do want to get ahead of it. Okay, we do want to get ahead of this stuff so that the client understands that they're going to be feeling this stuff at different times. Okay, so give the guide a go. There's a lot of pages, but there's a lot of spacing. But you're going to find a ton of gold in here. Grab it in the description, and then definitely let us know, was this something that was helpful for you? If guides like this are really helpful for you, we'll keep creating them. If they're not helpful for you, let us know, because there's a lot of time and effort that goes into this, and we want you guys to be successful coaches. And that's part of our mission here at Coach Catalyst, is to help you coach better, along with giving you a platform that allows you to do it as well. So hopefully today was really helpful for you. I'm going to stop sharing here. Hopefully today was really helpful for you. Over the last 2 days, we've talked about ghost number 1 and we've talked about ghost number 2, and giving you some strategies on how first we can identify those people, and then how we can intervene and help them be successful. If you can get people through those 2 periods, you're doing incredible as a coach, and you'll be able to then move them into the next program and continue to help them. So check out the guide. Remember, we have the ghost number 1 program inside of Coach Catalyst, so you can check that out as well. If you're not currently using Coach Catalyst, definitely go grab a 14-day trial, and then you'll be able to see those programs. But understand that these things are real. Understand that they're happening with your clients, and let's get ahead of them before they happen. Let's educate the clients about what's going to be happening, and then utilize the platform in our systems to identify when those fall-offs have started and intervene as a coach. My name is Trevor. I'm the CEO of Coach Catalyst. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and we'll see you next week. Bye.